The New York Yankees concluded their first day of the 2025 MLB Draft. The first day consisted of the first 3 rounds of the 2025 MLB Draft. The Yankees had 2 picks in the first 3 rounds. They forfeited their second-round pick when they signed free agent Max Fried, who had a qualifying offer attached to him that requires you to give up draft compensation in order to complete the signing of a free agent. The Yankees also had their first-round pick moved back by 10 spots due to being over the 4th threshold, the luxury tax threshold, that being known as the Steve Cohen tax, which moves your pick back by 10 picks. So the Yankees ended up in a situation where they were picking outside of the top 30 and would have to kind of work around that. So there wasn't a great pool for the Yankees to work with in terms of draft picks, but the 2 players they selected, both of whom are left-handed hitting shortstops, present a ton of intrigue. You have Dax Kilby at number 39 overall and Caden Kent at number 103 overall. We're going to break down both prospects, talk about them, their upside, what the Yankees see in them, and how they can get better. All of that and more right here on Fireside Yankees. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to check out Fireside Yankees on all of your favorite social media platforms, including but not limited to Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page. Without further ado, let's roll the intro clip and get right into today's video. So let's get things started talking about Dax Kilby, a high school shortstop out of Newman High School in Georgia. He was someone who the Yankees had been linked to a few times during the draft process. He is a left-handed hitting shortstop. He throws from the right-handed side. He stands at 6'2", and there are a lot of things to like about Kilby as a prep hitter, as someone who could mature into a very well-rounded offensive player. The first thing that stands out to me is the very elite zone contact. He makes a ton of contact in zone. There are not a lot of swing and miss rates. Some people I spoke to in the industry really raved about his contact abilities and what he could bring to the table offensively. Now, he doesn't have a lot of current power. I believe he only hit 3 home runs in his most recent high school season, but the Yankees could probably develop some of that raw power and that game power. He is 6'2". This is someone who does have the frame to develop some more power and hit a little bit, but again, the foundation of a really, really good contact swing, really good bat-to-ball skills, a really good hit tool, excellent plate discipline. He's a very patient hitter. He will work his walks. He gets on base. He is a pretty good athlete as well. There are some projections that could see him sticking at shortstop. But overall, when you look at Dax Kilby, you're getting a player who you're betting on some upside here. This is why you select a high school player for the Yankees this late into the draft at number 39 overall, because the college players are going to get are limited in terms of upside, and your best bet is hoping you can select a high school player who can develop into a little bit more than what the college player is going to at that point in time. You're selecting a player as they're younger in their lives, as they're younger in their pro careers, giving them a little bit more time to develop and kind of get through the pro circuit and improve on some certain skills. Kilby is someone who I think the Yankees would really do a lot of good with, because the Yankees do a good job of developing game and raw power, and Kilby needs to work on both those things if he wants to be a successful professional hitter and make it to the big leagues. Again, I really do love that he already has such a mature approach from the offensive side in terms of making contact and working walks. I think his left-handed swing will play well at Yankee Stadium, because the easiest way to generate game power is through your pull side. It is very hard to generate power to the opposite field, that being home runs. And Kilby is going to be able to feast on that short right field porch, and a lot of the Yankee affiliates do have shorter right field porches because that models their big league ballpark the most. Kilby, again, someone who the Yankees selected number 39 overall, who the Yankees will have to try and pry from his Clemson commitment. They most likely will. I'd be stunned if the Yankees drafted a prep player who they did not feel confident that they were going to sign. That would be a little bit stunning for the Yankees. And the other thing I like to note with Kilby, I really do wonder if he will stick at shortstop. I think he has the athleticism to do it, but if he does not, he can play third. If you wanted to kind of bulk up a little bit, he could play some corner outfield. There are some, projections out there that have him moving to the corner outfield, whether that be left field or right field. Ideal scenario, he stays in the dirt. I think that that's where you're going to get the most value. And we'll talk about this a little bit with Caden Kent as well. just because you draft a shortstop doesn't mean that you're going to play them at shortstop. There are a lot of players who are shortstops or center fielders who do not end up sticking at that position. Those are typically the best players or the best athletes that you can draft, especially at the high school level. And so you typically end up drafting center fielders and shortstops at a high school, not really like third baseman or second baseman. It's very rare you find a second baseman or a third baseman go very early in the MLB draft. It's very rare for first base as well. You'll usually find shortstop, catcher, center field, and then pitchers. That's usually how the majority of MLB draft picks are labeled as. It's very rare you find like only a second baseman or a second baseman, third baseman, or a first baseman, third baseman, because defense does matter to these projections. You are trying to figure out which guys are going to be big leaguers. And if you are already incapable of playing a premium defensive position at a lower level of the pro circuit, if you cannot play shortstop among high school shortstops or high school players, very good chance you're not going to be able to stick in any position in the big leagues. And you might end up kind of being a brick defensively wherever you end up. And that is a serious, serious ding on your defensive projections. So Kilby, again, really good bat-to-ball skills. Someone who should project to be a could contact hitter, hit for a pretty high average, and hopefully, again, you can develop some of that pull side power. There are some comparisons you'll see thrown around, and for pro comps, it's very, very, very hard to nail down a pro comp because you don't really know what a player is going to become when they're a teenager. Again, you're talking about someone who is 18 years old. I mean, I am currently 20. I'm going to turn 21. I am talking about people who are 2 years younger than me. So it's a little bit perplexing from that standpoint. But someone who I think could be like an ideal outcome for Dax Kilby. You can think of like a Brendan Donovan, really good contact skills as an infielder, versatile, kind of like Kilby might be able to be. Kilby is someone who could probably spend time at second, at third, maybe get some reps in the outfield. I do wonder how long the Yankees keep him at shortstop for. That is the one thing I do wonder. I wonder if it's possible he develops defensively. I remember when Volpe was projected to not stick at shortstop and not make it there in the big leagues, and then that kind of changed as the Yankees worked with him more. Wells was not projected to stick at catcher. That changed as well. So Yankees are pretty good with developing defense, so I do wonder if they make some leaps there. Obviously, if he's stuck at shortstop, that would make him far more valuable to any organization. But I would go out on a limb, or not go out on a limb. I'll take the safe projection and say that he will end up moving to third base or moving to a corner outfield spot. Let's shift gears here and talk about Caden Kent out of Texas A&M. Now, because he played at the collegiate level, we have more accurate statistical data in terms of production or just outcomes in general. And for Caden Kent, getting 943 OPS last season, he hit 13 home runs in 56 games for the Aggies. He had a really fun playoff run in 2024 and some really good numbers that year, although the game power hadn't really fully developed. He only hit 4 home runs in 51 games. But this past year, Kent has really, really stepped it up in that regard. Caden Kent is someone who is a pretty good get for the Yankees, considering that they were selecting outside of the top 100. And Caden Kent is someone who I think really fits the Yankees profile very well when you talk about the ability to hit home runs, to hit the ball hard. I don't believe that Caden Kent is someone who is going to pop in terms of like, oh, he's got outlier exit velo data, outlier contact rates, outlier plate discipline, or whatever it may be. But what he does have is a pretty uppercut swing that will play at Yankee Stadium at right field, and some other variables here that I really like. Number one, very well-rounded, and number two, some MLB bloodline here. He is the son of longtime big league infielder Jeff Kent. I know that those are things that don't always matter, but when you look at what you're trying to project into a big leaguer, I do like a player who has sound enough contact skills, sound enough plate discipline, good enough power, and all those combinations of things from the left-handed side, a propensity to pull the ball in the air, and then you take him to a ballpark like Yankee Stadium, you can kind of see where that kind of player would be able to project into a pretty productive big leaguer. And, just like with Kilby, there are some questions about whether he can actually stick at shortstop or not. When I say some questions, I'm going to be honest, they're pretty notable ones. Like, if you asked me to project both these players' long-term futures, I would not pick neither of them to stay at shortstop and be productive shortstops defensively. I would project both of them to move off the position, but also like Kilby, there is still the chance he ends up sticking there. There are some people who are unwilling to write it off entirely, though I believe the consensus opinion, you just kind of watch him play and you go, he's not an outlier defender there. And again, you have to scale everything up. If you are a solid defensive shortstop at the collegiate level, unless you make a big leap defensively, you're probably not going to be a solid defender at the big league level. Higher exit velos, more reps, more out that you're demanded to do, more aggressive base runners, smarter base runners, better base runners, et cetera, et cetera. So, Kent is someone who I believe the Yankees are going to get a very well-rounded profile out of. I love the swing. I think the swing really works for Yankee Stadium. And I do wonder if the Yankees value that big league bloodline the way that they did with George Lombard Jr., who is someone who I think the Yankees are enamored with, are in love with. You kind of see this uptick in sons of former big leaguers getting drafted and becoming pretty impressive prospects, becoming pretty impressive pros. When you have baseball in your life throughout the entirety of your life, when you kind of know what it takes to get there, I do think that aids your maturity in some regards, or you'd hope it would. And in the case of Caden Kent, his father being Jeff Kent, a remarkable big league infielder, especially offensively. You just kind of wonder with Caden Kent here, college bat, older than Dax Kilby, someone you could maybe see in 2 years if things go well. I would almost compare him a little bit to Rock Ratio in the sense that Ratio didn't really have like standout tools, but he was very well-rounded and had an approach that fit Yankee Stadium well. I do wonder if Caden Kent is someone who profiles in that regard, and the Yankees can get some more game power out of, really to really utilize his ability to crush the ball to right field. Now, one thing I do find a little bit interesting about Kent compared to Kilby is that while both are expected to move off the position, Kilby has played everywhere. He has played first, second, third, short, left field, right field, and center field. I believe the only position he has not played is catcher. I think he even pitched in summer ball for an inning, but obviously that was some position player pitching BS. But this is a guy who can play all over the diamond, and that utility is going to be something I think the Yankees heavily covet. If he can play all over the diamond and provide solid defense in both the infield and outfield and place him first, this is someone who's going to be a very, very useful big leaguer in a very interesting way because you can throw him at a lot of different positions. You kind of see what the Yankees did with Oswaldo Cabrera. I wonder if you could see that with Kent, although I believe Kent kind of has more offensive upside than Cabrera did as a prospect. Although I will say Oswaldo Cabrera did show some pretty good signs offensively as a prospect. Then he stopped pulling the ball in the air. So if Caden Kent doesn't stop pulling the ball in the air, I think he'll have more offensive upside. If you want to kind of make a pro comparison here, I saw a comparison to Josh Smith that someone made to me, and I thought that made a lot of sense. I thought Josh Smith, former Yankee farmhand, also someone who I believe went in the third round, or maybe it was in the second round, and he got traded to the Texas Rangers in the Joey Gallo deal. 27 years old. He is someone who he was a second-round pick, not a third-round pick. And in his career, last 2 years specifically, 112, 121 weighted runs created plus. Not great game power, but good enough game power. Good contact, solid play discipline, good versatility. I think that Kent has more power. I think Kent has worse defensive skills. I don't think Kent could stick at shortstop the way that Smith might be able to. And I also believe that Josh Smith has a better hit tool. I think Josh Smith, the ability to hit for average here and the ability to not strike out is just a little bit better than Kent. So it's not a perfect one-for-one, but I think the idea of versatile left-handed hitting bat, someone who can maybe be an above-average bat to big leagues, and maybe not an above-average glove everywhere he plays, but a solid glove and a starting caliber player defensively at any position you put him at, and that is valuable to a baseball team. So for both these players, Dax Kilby, he's going to immediately slot into my top 10 for Yankee prospects. Kent is going to slide somewhere in that 15 or 12 to 15, 20 range. It's a little bit harder to navigate through that pool of prospects because for the Yankees as well, there is a lot of similarity between a lot of these players in terms of FV grades. And another notable thing when it comes to any prospect in that range, very much subjective. Some people, you'll just aggressively like a guy at the DSL, and then some other people won't even rank DSL guys. I tend to be very conservative with ranking DSL guys because the data there is hard to find, and more importantly, it's very, very hard to figure out which guys are legit and which guys are just kind of they're not really going to make it past AA. They won't get to AAA. they're definitely not getting to the big leagues. Like, you can't really differentiate that at the DSL level, so sometimes I stay away from those rankings. But we'll have some guys in our updated top 30. Kilby will be there. Obviously, Kent will be there. We'll see if some other guys from this draft class end up being there. There's a good chance at least 3 more of these guys end up in that top 30. Not because this draft class is loaded, but because the Yankees, the back end of the farm isn't really great. The middle of the farm is very like the same in terms of future value guys, or what you would project a lot of guys to be. And I also think the Yankees do a really good job with getting the most out of college prospects and high school prospects and getting them to be better players than they were when they were drafted. I know that that's not a consensus opinion among fans, but if you look at the Yankees' recent first-round pick record, Anthony Volpe, he's a big leaguer. I know he's not good this year, and he's not the guy you really want to be referencing right now, but he's a big leaguer. That's better than the median outcome for the 30th overall pick. Austin Wells has been a top 6 catcher in terms of WAR since 2024. That's 2020. That is obviously exceeding the median outcome for a first-round pick. 2021, you had Trey Sweeney. He's a big leaguer. Not a very productive big leaguer, but a big leaguer nonetheless. 2022, Spencer Jones. We'll see if he ends up being a big leaguer. He's having a very good year. We'll see if that translates to a big league promotion. 2023, you have George Lambar Jr., consensus top 30 prospect in baseball. I'd consider that so far trending in the right direction. 2024, Ben Hess, still working through things at the lower levels of the minor leagues. I think that he is someone who can get to the big leagues, whether it's as a reliever or a starter. So you have multiple big leaguers in that stretch, and the 2 guys who aren't, one of them is a top 30 prospect. So I kind of like that track record. There's a decent amount of big league talent in the Yankees draft classes over the last few years. Not so much in the early parts of the 2010s or even the mid-2010s, but over the last few years you started seeing them revamp their drafting and scouting process. But if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out Fireside Yankees on all of your favorite social media platforms. I won't be able to get to any draft coverage as it happens today because I'm not going to be around, but in the nighttime, you will expect, or you will get a draft day 2 video. So you will get draft day 1 in the morning and a draft day 2 most likely either late at night or early in the morning on Tuesday. So you will get draft videos no later than 12 hours or 24 hours following the end of the day 2 of the draft, which kind of depends on when it ends. And then for any other draft content, we're releasing shorts, quick breakdowns on players as the picks happen. Again, you won't get that in day 2, but you got that in day 1. You'll get immediate social media posts on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page. We have graphics kind of ready to go, and we have people around to post that. So if you want to know who the Yankees are drafting, we have that stuff there as well. I have write-ups on each player that has been drafted already, quick write-ups, and I'll do an overview on day 1 that will be released on EmpireSportsMedia.com by the time this video is out. So again, really appreciate you guys for sticking around, tuning in. If you enjoy our draft coverage, again, like, comment, subscribe, show some support, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Check out Fireside Yankees. Again, love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, and let's go Yankees. Peace out.
Perfect.